Assalamu alaikum, ya alim, to all the viewers watching today. First of all, I'd like to congratulate you all on this beautiful occasion. My salutations, my felicitations to all of you watching. Eid al-Qadir Mubarak to you all, firstly. I hope you're having a good day. I hope you're doing some safe celebrations, keeping safe away from the virus and being at home and being safe with the families. I just want to say, guys, last week's podcast. I mean, we received so much feedback. From messages on WhatsApp to social media platforms, people DMing me and Facebook messaging me saying, they really took a lot from the podcast last week. And I just want to say a big thank you, and to everyone that supported the podcast, to everyone that subscribed. And I hope that you're still with us today here as well, because we've got another great guest with us as well, who's gonna share a lot of stuff, a lot of experience with us as well. Misam, do you wanna hand you over for the Urdu?
Yes, जैसे हमेशा होता है शुरू में, अभी जैसे आवाज शुरू करता है बोलने में, तो हम आपको बताना चाहेंगे कि आज सबसे पहले ईद गदीर है, तो हम आपके सामने आप सबको ईद गदीर मुबारक। और यही आपके साथ हम आपको कहेंगे, आप हमारे साथ ताउन रखें। और ये आज हमारे साथ एक बहुत ग्रेट गेस्ट आए हैं, उनके सामने हमने प्रोग्राम करना है, तो आप प्लीज ट्यून रहें। और जो हमने प्रीवियसली भी प्रोग्राम्स किए, उसमें भी आप लोगों ने ताउन हमारे साथ किया है, तो ऐसे ही आपने हमारे साथ ताउन करना है। और इंशाल्लाह आज एक अलग रंग में आपके सामने आए हैं, एक अलग गेस्ट के साथ। तो इंशाल्लाह आज जो गुफ्तगू होने वाली है, वो इंशाल्लाह हमेशा की तरह अलग सी गुफ्तगू होगी और बहुत अच्छी गुफ्तगू होगी। तो इंशाल्लाह देर नहीं लगाते, आवाज के पास वापस जाते हैं और वही आपके सामने आज हमारे बहुत ही अच्छे गेस्ट को प्रेजेंट करना चाहेंगे।
Thank you very much, Misa, for the Urdu. I know we've got a lot of feedback last week about having more Urdu involved in the conversation. Unfortunately, Brother Ali doesn't know much.
I can't help you in that field, man. I can't. I'd love to, but I can't.
So, inshallah, when we have more Urdu speaking guests, we will definitely include that more in our conversations, I'm sure, one day, inshallah. And I'm sure if there's any Arabic speaking guests, and if Ali wants to drop a bit of Arabic here and there, then by all means.
Inshallah. It's one of my. I'm not gonna. I won't say it's one of my wishes to learn Urdu. But I would like to one day to learn maybe a couple of sentences, because I know that in terms of the Urdu language, in terms of the description and how you describe certain occasions, even in the poetry for the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam, it is it's very different to the Arabic, even to the English. So, but we'll get into that later on.
Like I've been sharing, and like Mason been sharing, we've got so much stuff that we can talk. And normally, guys, you know what the thing is? I just want to inform the viewers here, because we have a plan. Well, we have a plan mainly, and the plan is to get through this, to get through that, to get through that. But we hardly get through anything, literally, from what we've discussed before. So, there's so much to talk about, and I know with Brother Ali, with someone, who's so multi-talented, who's not just good at one thing. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that we can cover. You know what? To be fair, I don't even know how to describe what you are, because I
don't even know what am I.
like me and Misam, before we sat on this, just before you joined us on the stream, on the link, we were just thinking, okay, where do we start? Because we know where we start. Okay, everyone knows that, like, one of the first that I heard personally myself with English recitations, and then I've seen you do some presentations on TV. And then I've seen online, me and Mrs. online, that you've done some spoken word, which I had no idea about, which you might want to share with us.
Yeah.
So, Ali, you know what? Why don't you introduce yourself for us? I think that's the best thing.
I think it's more. There's something that I hold quite dear, especially when I go up on a stage or in front of a camera or anything like that. It's how can I make the audience feel better? So I guess if you want to put it into like a category, maybe entertainer. I can't really say, but I like to entertain people. Be it through voice, be it through hosting, be it through spoken word, be it through talk shows. But I like to provide the audience some sort of value, something that they can learn, something that they can enjoy, without it really being, because a lot of people when they come up on stage or they feel like they have to conform to a certain way of reciting, otherwise if they don't, it seems to be rude or against the culture. Well, I just think, you know what, if for example, if it's a happy occasion and you want to have a couple of jokes, it's real, it's a human connection, and people want to connect to humans. They don't want to connect to I don't want to. They don't want to connect to a screen, or they don't want to connect to someone who's a higher level than them, or even a lower level than them. They want to connect to someone who's a human, right? I am exactly like you guys are. I have ideas, I have opinions, I have expressions, and so I, I just want to be real and say, look, this is my experience. If you can connect with it, be my guest. If you can't, there's many other people out there that you can connect to, but trying to create that human element.
Wow.
I think that's
to answer the question, entertainer. I'll probably
entertainer.
That's well summarized, to be honest with you. Very well summarized. But I mean, eventually, you're right. It is about, at the end of the day, as weird in the community and whatever communities it is, as it sounds, calling this some sort of entertainment, or even how people feel weird to call this kind of stuff an industry. But at the end of the day, in bigger words, it is that we, in bigger terms, what the funny thing is, I myself, I'm in Germany right now, and in England, alhamdulillah,
guys, that's dedication, guys. Yeah, dedication. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the subscribe button.
No, but I'm in Germany right now, and the point is, in the UK, people are still aware of the things that are going on, but in Germany, it's much different. So one of my mate, he's German himself, and he asked me, so what are you going to do later on? And I was just telling Abbas this as well, and I was kind of left speechless. And as you said, it is something in terms of entertainment. It comes under entertainment, and that's why, in a very commercialized way, I explain it to them. And deep down, it does come to that: the way you interact with human beings, the way you, perform in front of the audience to entertain them. So yes, it ultimately comes down to that.
And following on from that, whether we like it or not, but the star performers, reciters in our world will look towards the West and to see how they would perform, whether it's on stage, whether it's in front of the camera, even for example looking at some of their lyrics, some of their rhythms, their tones, just getting an idea of how they would perform, because we want to, no matter how much we want to stay within our own culture, but at the end we want to appease to a certain extent to the wider audience, and the wider audience is the layman white guy, or whatever you want to label them, whoever, non-Muslim, for example, and the layman, trying to explain to them, for example, Imam al-Hussein was killed in Karbala. Who is Imam? Who is Hussein?
Exactly.
Who is Karbala? The only thing I got from that sentence was killed. That's it. So we have to, at the end of the day, use certain terminologies, ideas, thoughts, in order to translate what we're doing to the wider audience. Now, there's two things here. They could be, well, to hell with them, I don't really care what they think about us. But the other side is, look, we want to educate them so that at least we can remove some misconceptions about us. Like there's many misconceptions about the Muslims and so on. So we want to remove some of the misconceptions about Muslims. No, we are normal human beings. We have our love for certain things, just the way you guys have love for certain things, and the way we express this love may be different to you. That's all. But in reaching that commonality between them, we're going to have to use certain words and terms that they can at least understand the concept. Oh, you're singing. Oh, you're performing. Oh, you're. Do you know what I mean? So they can. Oh, okay. Have that. Oh,
Ali, I got a question then. Like, okay, you know what? I've always thought about this, and I've mentioned this in the last podcast as well. I know we've just gone straight into it, yeah. But I just thought I'd ask you this now because it's appropriate right now. Do you think like what we're doing has sort of been, and I don't want to like use the wrong term here, but it's sort of been dried up in the sense that like it's more of now, like because he's doing it, I want to do it. Is it becoming that rather than the actual sort of message that we're trying to put out there? Are we losing that touch? I know it's a deep question, but I just sometimes I feel like, like you said, like you mentioned, we have to sort of we have to understand one thing, that what we're reciting about and what we're singing about, whatever you want to call it, is about these great personalities that did great things, right? So we need to be doing the same. As we're trying to follow their actions, we can't be the same as them, but we can follow their footsteps and try and do what they did. Calling out for justice. Like Black Lives Matter, for example. Just small things like that is what they stood out for. Now, is this sort of field that we're involved in? I'd say the industry that we're involved in. Yeah, is it becoming a thing of I'm doing it just to get my name out there? Is it becoming a dried out industry?
So can I ask, are we talking about English here, or are we talking about?
I'm talking about in general,
in
the
languages.
whole thing. I'm talking about the actual industry.
Oh, the industry of, okay, yeah.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
I the thing is, I can't. I mean, I can only comment on what I relate to, and I relate to the Arabic world.
Yeah.
And the Arabic world has, listen, I'm just going to put it out there. It's become commercialized. I'll give you an example. But it's been commercialized for a good reason. Now, the reason why it's been commercialized, and what I mean by commercial, let me explain what I mean by commercialized. I mean, for example, monetizing YouTube. Yeah. So now in this day and age, people are, human beings, society, when it comes to something that they're looking on the video, 3, 4, 5 minutes maximum before they kind of switch to something else. That's just the lifespan of how long you can get someone's attention for. Now, so what has come hand in hand with that is the quality that Arabic reciters, I don't know about other different languages, but Arabic reciters have focused more on the quality of their video productions. Each video is like a movie. Like you've heard of Basim Karbala'i, right? He's the pioneer when it comes to enhancing the dhikr of the Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam through media. He was the first person to do an actual video shoot. He was the first person to do a tape, first person to do a CD, an album, everything you can think of. He's the first to do it. Even recently, he's the first to do a cartoon, a full 3-4 minute movie on a cartoon about Imam Hussein. It's absolutely, it's an animation, full on like Disney animation style. Basim has been animated. Now, the reason why this has happened is because he wants, and this is what I'm assuming, that he wants look, Ahl al-Bayt are impeccable, perfect. So you have to portray them in a perfect way. Okay, and that also goes into another issue of, for example, just reciting for the sake of reciting, or just reciting because someone else is doing it, and you know what, your name and stuff. Look, but because they are perfect, Basim has said, look, I want to give something of absolute quality to represent who these people are. These people are the maximum of quality. They're the maximum of virtue and value and perfection. And so how I portray them has to be maximum of that I can think of within my own resources to become perfect. And so that's why he's now changed the focus, where before the focus was on the people in front of you. As a reciter, who is in front of me, let me focus on them. But now with the addition of a camera and a mic and the echo and the reverb and the post majlis editing, both the video and the sound, it's now become, I'm not reciting to 300-400 people in front of me. I'm reciting to the world. It's become global. What I mean by commercialized is it's become a global phenomenon, right? The reason being is because each video is different camera angles, and when you're not looking at one reciter holding a paper and just reciting. He's got different angles, people on audience, maybe different angles on him, and so it's become a bit of a movie. And when young people look at this, they think, well, wow, this is fantastic. I can, if they believe in themselves, they can possibly try and do something like that. So whether it's become, I don't know, in my world, it's become now where you can't just do something for the sake of doing something, and you cannot record something with low quality and upload that. 100%. Especially if it's official, like an official launch of this video of this
haram.
No. So the reason why I say this is because I sometimes I'm hesitant on uploading anything, because I feel like, well, it's not going to match the quality of Basim, and even match the quality of other people out there. So you know, maybe I should just hold back a bit and work on post-production or audio or video, so that when I do upload, at least the people who are looking at it and listen to it can maybe have value from it, seek value from it, maybe benefit from it. Not just, I mean, for me, it's nice to be recording, like Imam Hussein, Imam Ali alayhi salam, and the love that you portray, which is great. But for the audience, are they really going to connect with that? Unfortunately, in this day and age, it's technology that's the priority, I think. But yeah, I mean, I can ramble on and on and on about this, but I think in a nutshell, we have moved towards more quality productions.
And I think,
and that,
no, carry on, finish off.
No, I was saying that, and that's why maybe it's dried up, because people think, well, I can't match that, so let me wait, let me work a bit more, find out more about my skills and what I can do, and then be able to produce something of a high quality to be able to benefit the people.
Yeah, of course.
You gonna say something?
No, like, you know, of course, I mean, and I think that's the kind of the responsibility that solo reciter, or that person that's bringing out the material out there to the audience. That's where their responsibility comes in place as well, to make sure that, of course, in the bigger meaning, the actual word of having the right content quality out there, as you said, is a massive thing. And you know, with what you mentioned in terms of Basim doing these kind of cartoons as well, I think, you know, as much as we said, it's a massive factor and a good point that he's done, and what you mentioned as well about the good aspect of the commercialization, not just the negative aspect, but the good aspect in terms of for kids as well. How you said, how he's made a cartoon, and you know, there's so many parents that say, don't make Superman or Batman or these kind of people your hero. Imam Hussein is your hero. Imam Ali is your hero. Maula Abbas, Sharali Akbar is hero.
So
you know, and if you are giving this kind of content out there,
my question, sorry to cut. My question is, if you want them to be role models, where are the videos to show them that? Where are the videos? Where are the productions?
Exactly.
There's millions of pounds out there in whatever, in the Shia world. Where is the next superhero in an animation form, and who's actually depicting maybe the life of Imam Hussein or Imam Ali? Sorry.
That's a great point. Once again, sorry, but this is what I'm saying, and I think I think I worded myself wrong earlier when I was talking about dried up. What I was trying to say is that with the content that's being released right now, it's the same thing again and again.
100%.
That was my point. As you know, I think that's what you're saying, isn't it, Misa?
Yeah, probably, like, obviously I mean, not in a negative and nothing offensive, but yes, probably lack of creativity, just because, and I think it is probably down to what the audience enjoys and demands as well, though. Mainstream, you know, there probably are maybe a few people doing this, because at the end of the day, by what Basim's done with that cartoon now, is not only he's not only depicted the zikr, but even, you know, if kids see him cartoonized like this, even they will look up to him. Like Ali, like you know, if you are kind of releasing quality content out there, and people are saying, "Wow, look at the as you said, camera angles. Look at this production of Ali. Look at how the effects are on there. Look at the animation, or you know, everything that's going on in the video." Because as you said, it is a 4 to 5 minute piece of work that goes out to the audience, and they only see that content in that time frame. So it does make a massive impact on that. The fact that people are not looking at the, I would call so, the cliche, the niche market, the gaps in the market.
But I think this was what I probably didn't mention, which is really important. I think sometimes we lose the essence of why we're doing this, and essentially it's service. Whether we like or not, the root of all of this is khidmah for Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, or khidmah for the Ahl al-Bayt. It's a service, and let's not lose touch of that. That's my fear, and the direction that we're heading, especially again for the Arabic world, because people are so concerned about how good does it look, but are we losing the point here? Even sometimes when the poetry is lost, and even the tune is lost sometimes, and the focus is on how well does this look, how good is the background, how good is how nice is the because you know, the Arabic world, they have a little a plaque that says Husseiniya of so and so, right? How good does that look? How nice is the background? How different is it? Unique and innovative? Are we losing the essence of? I know you want to focus on quality, but let's not lose the essence of why we're actually doing that.
Yeah,
Like,
and I think that's where the thin line comes in, right?
Yeah.
That's
that
what,
perfect balance, isn't it? That
and I'll be honest with you, even myself, yeah, like we have to like remind ourselves. I struggle with that too. Like I'm
100%, man.
I'm going to be open with it. Like it's something that we all struggle with, and it's not.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's that point of just having that argument with yourself from time to time. Okay, self-check.
Yeah. And
My,
that's why I said sorry. And that's why I said sometimes I hesitate. And again, absolutely transparent. This is me being real. I hesitate to put something up because that side of me that wants to bring out quality is thinking, well, is this going to be beneficial for anyone? But the service side of it, whether it's quality or not, this is still a service and it's still beautiful. However, let's try and make it look better if you can. But if you can't and you want to record yourself reciting for the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, by all means, that is absolutely fine. And in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's probably bigger than those who commercialize or want to focus a lot more on the quality. Maybe in Allah's eyes, the one who just wants to sincerely put something up so that people can learn from it or benefit from it, that's probably bigger in Allah's eyes. We don't know.
100%.
But that's why we shouldn't be losing the essence of why we're doing it.
No,
wow. I don't even want to break
that
this.
we spoke about
in
the first podcast, wasn't it? I mean, your purpose, your maqsad behind all of this. Yeah.
And I've noticed in every podcast that comes
every
in.
podcast.
Yeah, 100%.
I've noticed that with all the other viewers. Guys, I don't want to break the conversation, but to remind you, whoever's watching, please share out the link to everyone. Spread this link. We're having an amazing conversation. Brother Ali Fadhil joined us today. They've already given us some great points. Share the link out and just keep watching. We've got, I can't believe it's already been 20 minutes, guys. I can't believe that.
There's so much more I want to cover. I've only said like
a
few words.
Ali, let's. I want to just dive out this conversation a little bit. I want to focus a bit more about yourself, just for a bit. Yeah, because I'm sure that other things will come off this. We'll just go into it a little bit here and there. So I've always wanted to know this because I remember when I joined your you had a program or series going on, I think during Ramadan, was it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
during Ramadan on Imam Hussein TV, where you sort of like a similar thing we done, and you were asking me questions about how I started and what got me motivated and stuff, etc. And I remember
that was my favorite show, by the way. My favorite episode was me and you, and I'll explain why later. I'll go on.
Yeah, okay. And I think I know why it was, because every time I was talking,
I'm like,
you were just like, no.
That's it. That's exactly it. Yeah.
And I haven't heard your story, I'll be honest with you. Like, I love you as a brother and as an artist, but I haven't heard your story. So let's go to the beginning, to the roots.
All right, cool. I think before I start on me, I was thinking about this because I thought he's probably going to ask about how I started. But what's important to factor in is 10 years before that. Actually, no, maybe 5 years before that. Because you see, our families in the West, they had to flee, escape, leave, travel their home countries because of certain situations. It could be war, it could be seeking a better life, whatever it was. Our families expanded globally, from America to Europe, all the way to Australia, right? So what happened was, especially in our culture, in the Iraqi world, I'll focus it more on the Iraqi London community. Now, the Iraqi London community, and then I'll even focus it even more on the Karbala and Najaf families. The Karbala and Najaf families, they have a very, very deep-rooted heritage and culture in Karbala. Okay, that included matam, that included majalis, that included essentially the base of it was be happy. When the Ahlul Bayt say be happy for our occasions and be sad for our sad occasions, right? So throughout the year they had commemorations. Their commemorations were of a particular style and a particular form. For example, in Muharram, during the 10 nights, they would have what's called a shabih, a person that represents Al-Qasim alayhi salam. He would come out all dressed in the armor, and then they would say, he would actually make a speech and replicate the speech that Al-Qasim alayhi salam made, right? So this is something that is cultural, right? For example, I know within the Indo-Pak community, I think on the 10th day when you're doing the march, what's it called? The Julus.
Yeah.
right? There's the janah that comes out, I think,
Yeah.
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 the replica
Yeah.
of the horse, right? So
Yeah.
certain cultures that were very deep rooted in that country where we came from. Now, once we came into London, let's not forget that our parents, my parents in the Iraqi community, they didn't understand English, they didn't understand the new culture, so they had a fear of losing their culture and their beliefs, being in an alien world. And so they created a bubble around themselves, a bubble of their own culture. The Husseinias, whatever happened in that Husseinia, for us anyway, whatever happened in that Husseinia is exactly what happened in Karbala. That was their home that they created. And that's where each and every single one of us went to on a weekly basis. Because of
Yeah.
our parents said, look, if you're going to go to school, that's no problem. But we want to make sure that we maintain the belief of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam in your hearts, in your minds on a weekly basis. So we created the culture that we believe is good because that's how they grew up. They don't know any other different, right? They don't know like, oh, this is a new culture. Let's start to integrate within society and all that. That kind of conversations came later when they had to think, okay, now our kids are growing up. They're being influenced by two different worlds here, the Western world and our Islamic world. So let's try and integrate and try and find a match in between them. Okay, that came later. That's how I got to where I am now, because these conversations of integrating within society came later, years later. Okay,
Wow.
but the initial stages when our families started to travel, at first it was like, no one's gonna infiltrate this bubble because I'm scared for the future of our children. So the beginnings were that kind of mentality. So essentially, the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, Matam, Nasheeds, all of that were drummed into me from a young age, from a very, 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 very young age. Albeit my father is a sheikh, and probably see the books behind it. Whatever, every father has books, but like for example, I'm actually sitting in his office, so this is his turban, mashallah. And so look, my father's a sheikh, my mother's she's a reciter. So Basim Karbala, it was in my ears 24/7. Like I kid you not, every occasion that my mom had, she put it on, whether it's a tape or those old school. I don't know how old you guys are, but these old school tape players where you have to put it in and press the play button. It's nothing like it was in this day. I'm probably showing my age, but anyway. So it got drummed into me. So when I first started off, it was the actual story is basically I used to love reciting within the family. I used to replicate everything that Basim would say. So I learnt his poems inside out. And so one time my father took me to the majalis that he would go to. I would regularly go with him anyway because I like to see the culture and how these majalis actually took place.
Yeah.
And so my father said to one of the organizers, look, my son has a couple of lines of poetry. Do you mind if he recites? So the host is like, yeah, of course, why not? I recited once, twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. So I got used to reciting in front of a small crowd. What was then the second most influential factor that happened, and again, everything that came from me isn't me. It was the people that are around me that helped me to be able to perform to a certain stage. So what happened then was the boom of English majalis, English programs. So I'm not sure if you remember Sayyid Mehdi Mudarrisi, I think maybe 17 years back in Ahlul Bayt Foundation in London. He came 10 nights. That was the start of English programs in London anyway. Start of English programs on a regular basis. Now, English programs need what? Quran reciter, a lecturer, and Latmiya. So Latmiya, there was a massive void, essentially, a massive gap in that area. So I was like, well, I want to give English a go. The third most influential, there's 4 influential things that happened to me. The third most influential thing was I worked with a guy called Sajjad Al-Hayri. He created, and this is the advice that I give to a lot of people. He created a choir. He created a choir called Light of Guidance. We did regular poems and recitations in different mosques. We were doing quite well. Like we were going to different places, like Watford. As far as Watford, we went to.
Wow.
And the key thing here was that I was able to practice and I able to develop skills as part of a group, not by myself. This is key. This is absolute key. Why? Because most of the young reciters, when they have an opportunity to recite by themselves, they do well, maybe once, twice, three, four times. If they do bad once, just once, they're automatically given an X on their name. Oh, the guy's too young. Let him practice, and then maybe inshallah in the future. If I had gone mainstream by myself, given an opportunity by myself, without developing the skills that I had in the choir, then I don't know if I would have succeeded. So
Ali, what age were you that time?
This time I was 16, 17, that kind of age, yeah. And even then my voice still hadn't matured. So I was still like practicing with what range I could reach. So the third thing was the choir. At the end, like there was about a 6-month period. One of the guys who sorry, I forgot. Stage 2, the boom of English Majalis. So the boom of English Majalis, what happened there was a lot of people elder than me, about 4, 5, 6 years older than me, who were the pioneers behind English Majalis going mainstream and being popular. These guys, I had regular sessions, regular programs with them every single week. It was a Quran, it was a Quran tafsir session. Actually, it was with Sayyid Ammar Naqshawani back in the day. The group was called Haraka al-Haydariyya, and we were doing weekly Quran tafsir with Sayyid Ammar. Any occasion there happened to be a wafat, istishhad, or a milad, they would ask me to recite. Who was in front of me? Maybe 30 or 40 youths. And so I was practicing and practicing and practicing, and anything new that I could come up with, all in English, by the way, all with them. So I practiced as much as I could with them, waiting for an opportunity that I can maybe be invited to something bigger. Now, the third thing that happened when I was with the choir, one of the guys that was the pioneers of the English Majalis came to me and said, look, Ali, you have a talent. Like you can recite. Choir is great, but you need to go solo, basically. You need to split, go solo, go do your own thing, because I think you're ready for it, and I can provide you with the poetry. It's like, you know what, good idea, let's start it. So the choir, I split from the choir, and then the people that were around me doing the English Majalis helped me to provide me with that platform. The fourth thing that happened to me was, and I'll very, very happily say this, Nouri Sardar.
Oh my God, we were
no matter what happens, the poet Nouri Sardar, he was starting up writing poetry. I was starting up writing, reciting.
I think it was at the right time.
It was just literally the right time, right, yeah, literally right man, right time. A marriage made in heaven. We hit it. We straight away, literally just straight away. He was writing poems, and I was just so every single week we were just performing so that we can get it out there.
I remember at that time that was a big wave as well, like a big wave.
So it was a number of things. My parents, the people that were around me, the elders, the choir. I cannot thank Sajjad al-Hari enough. The choir. And Nouri Sardar being with me, so I was helping him and he was helping me, essentially, because his poetry needed someone to recite and I needed poetry, so we just kind of matched. But those four key developments that happened in my life, essentially.
That's one of the main points ticked off that list now that we had.
We got it covered. But Misam, did you see like what he's talking about, like when it comes to like group recitations? The same thing with us, right? Like
it's the same thing with us.
Group recitations, I mean, the values and stuff that you learn when you're starting with the group is completely different. I mean, I know you covered a different area of like, getting the chance to practice as well. But with group recitations, it teaches you when to give, when to not give, in terms of techniques and stuff like that.
Right.
Like,
okay.
That's one thing that I learned. Like, first of all, we don't realize this, innit? Yeah, but over here, these are muscles. So normally when you're doing group recitations, you're exerting them a lot more than you are in solo, because you're giving in the Indo-Pak community anyway, because you're giving them a lot more. And because we were younger and we were involved in these group recitations.
Just correct me if I'm wrong. I've seen some of these sessions, and there's like 8 people in a circle, and the rest of the people are doing the matam, right?
Exactly.
Wow, they reach levels that I've never heard of before, man. They're really good.
And you know what? It's generally a very high. Generally, that is the way to read. Like they say, like someone's told me this, and this is a member of our group, part of APIS, He said that he just moved from Pakistan, and he's come from a very, very, very famous and very like
Very famous.
one of the first groups in Pakistan. They're named Ansar Party. He's actually Ansar, the main guy's nephew himself. He lives with us now in Birmingham. He's part of our group, alhamdulillah.
Good.
Yeah, and he even said to us that my uncle told us that when you're reading, your head should be hurting. So that just
Wow.
shows that exactly that shows
The power
how
that
much
goes into it.
power that goes into it.
That's
So for
unbelievable.
me, for us personally, and for me, group recitations, as long as is what you said as well, like it shapes you, it shapes your solo recitations, but even just throat wise, voice maturing wise, it has a big impact on that in the Indo-Pak community. That we've noticed that as well. But yeah, I wanted to show one thing that you know you were talking about the choir, yeah, which I had no clue about, by the way, because obviously I don't know how old I was to be, but is that like, does that choir still exist or?
No, unfortunately, it doesn't.
No, okay.
But to be honest with you,
Right.
the recitations have lived through the ages, and they're still around, being used by certain channels for certain occasions. So if you search for Light of Guidance, maybe type in Light of Guidance Imam Al Hussein, you'll find something. We did a full album actually. It was quite fun. It was quite fun to do because it was the first time that I was introduced to a studio. And studios, I've seen, by the way, I've seen reciters in studios, not professional reciters, but young reciters who are kind of starting up. Studios make or break you. They can either, you can either take it on and really feel it, or you can be so overwhelmed by the pressure and the mic and the thing and the room is quite small as well. So I've seen reciters actually struggle a lot when it comes to being in that room. They're sweating and they don't know if it sounds right or not, and they're trying but they're not trying at the same time. But I've seen other reciters who they're naturals, whether they're in a studio or not a studio, but it's a different experience. Like when I was first introduced to it, I was like, it's just like me. I wasn't phased by the fact that it's a studio. I was just reciting. I couldn't care less if it was in front of me, people, or I'm in front of a glass with things in my ear. I was just. I actually loved it even more because when you put it in your ear, and the guy puts the echo and the reverb.
Exactly.
Ooh, you sound amazing. So I'm like, yeah, this is amazing. I sound great. So I'm just like, I'm going at it as well. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun.
You know what? The thing is, like I always come across, isn't it? Yeah, like you know when I'm like when the producer puts the reverb on, the sound engineer, and then when it comes off, you realize, oh my god, that sounds dead.
Like, is that me?
That's like awful.
And sometimes, by the way, a quick tip for some of the reciters as well. What you could do is take one muff away. Yeah, take one away so that you can actually hear your own voice.
I can't do that, you know.
You have to, bro, because there's a difference of day and night. There's a difference of day and night. Like, as soon as I put it on, I'm like, and I'm reciting, I'm like, yeah, this is sound nice. But as soon as I think, I'm like, what is that? How I sound? Like maybe I should keep it on just in case, because you don't want to get like put off by your own voice.
I can't. I've tried it. Yeah, like people have told me this. Like I remember, like even my friend, he told me he's recording, and he was like, you know, it's his first album. He's my cousin, really, and he said to me, you know, I've heard that you should keep one off and one. I was like, listen, I've tried it. Yeah, for me personally, it don't work. But like you said, I think with studio, it's you in the mic. It's a personal thing. Yeah, it's how you like. It's raw. It's very raw. Like it's very mentally draining. Like very mentally draining. I mean,
it is actually. You mentioned that, and I've never understood why I'm so exhausted after one poem. It's not like I'm doing 3 or 4 poems. It's like I'm exhausted after one, and that's an hour of recording. Like, or maybe an hour or 2 of recording. But you're right. I mean,
I think it's because of obviously the kind of work it is. It's more towards precision, the way you're actually making your sound work, because live reciting is completely different. As you said, it's a different genre. Some people, as you said, some people are so natural, and that's because some people's voices are just made perfectly for live kind of recording, and some people are so amazing in studio, and it's just the way you kind of utilize your voice. Like, you know, if you're reciting one kind of a genre, and your voice might be just so suitable for it, but you're right, it's completely different.
What you mentioned was perfect, by the way. Precision. Like I think some people, what they do is like every line they need to memorize exactly where they're going to go up, where they're going to go down. The next line after that, are they going to be a bit slower? Are they going to be a bit faster? The tune as well, the melody, they'll record it 5 or 6 times and then pick the best one. So it's the precision. It's the precision that's
Definitely.
that's draining.
And it's what
It is.
suits to what you're reading, right? As well. That's the
Yeah.
thing, innit? What line you're reading and everything. But I think if you're a perfectionist, studio's hard for you.
Yeah,
It is very
exactly.
hard.
That's the
Yeah.
And I
best way
think
to
it's
sum it up.
and I think it's a self-satisfaction as well. You know, as Ali, as you just said, you know, you hear your voice like, you know, in a different way, and you think, oh God, is that really me? And then you listen to it over again. Like I've been to the studio with Abbas numerous times, and then
Yeah.
I'm there taking my headphones, and I'm like, are you sure this sounds okay? Like, and
Mm.
then
You're
even
never happy.
you know you can
Even
do it better,
yeah.
but sometimes it works, sometimes it
Oh
doesn't
my
work. Like
word.
sometimes
That's
I've been there.
you know,
You
I've
take you have 2
suffered
takes, and
so
you're like,
much.
I'm happy.
Do you know how much I've
And
suffered
sometimes,
just
yeah,
by just by like thinking like I've done 1 take, 2, 3, 4, and I'm like, why do I feel like I'm not getting this right? But
yeah,
then in the post-production, when everything's and then the feedback that you get from people is like, oh yeah, that was really great. I'm like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like when I was there and I'm
You know,
recording, I'm like, this is not going to sound nice at all. But you know, I've been there for
yeah.
3 hours. I can't record
You know,
anymore. So I'm just gonna have to go with the flow. And then it turns out to be great.
you know what? That is so true. You know, I think you know what it comes down to. I think you learn things like you've got more experience. I think it comes down to experience. I've
Yeah,
learned that. You know, I've even like a lot of times now. Yeah, I remember before my early days of recording in studio when my father was there. Is that a lot of times like I remember I'd record something and the sound engineer would just be like, "Good take, good take, good take," and I'm just like, "No, it's not. Like definitely
Yeah,
not a good take."
yeah.
And I just do it again and I do it again and I'm not happy with it. But now I've started to understand that you need to like the opinions of other people really do matter because whatever you're thinking is a good take might not be in their ear at all. And whatever they've heard is a different is something different. They like the fact that you've said it like a certain word like this.
And that's why it's absolutely imperative that you kind of partner with a sound engineer or
Yeah.
a producer or whoever it is
Yeah.
that has the has the passion to work with you, not like
yeah.
not like record. All right, you're done. Record and then goes to edit. Do you know what I mean? Because a lot. I've seen some sound engineers over there who aren't generally interested, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, they're just doing it for basically it's their job, so they just have to do
Yeah.
it, right? They don't care if it turns out nice or not. They're just going to do the job, whatever you want in terms of sound effects. It's all whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want an echo here? We'll put an echo. Do you want whatever it is? We'll do that, right? But I want to work with a sound engineer that has a real passion and love for having to produce something of absolute quality, right? And that's why, for example, when I did kind of delve into the English world, just to digress a bit, I thought, let me go in the total opposite end of the scale, and try to do something so Western, so different, that it might cause people to say, oh, what's this? But I mean, I'm sticking within the laws of Islam, whether you like it or not. If you have difference of opinion or something, I'm sticking within the laws. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is, I worked with a sound engineer who had a genuine passion for this, and I had to retake one. Inshallah, I'm not lying. One stanza 17 times. 17 times. I did it once. He's like, keep doing it again. At the 12th time where I thought, I can't get it any more perfect than this. He goes, no, this word what you said here, the way it sounded, the tone of it, just put it down just a bit. I'm like, how the hell? How am I going to what are you talking about?
No, yeah.
Like, I don't know, like it really drained me, but the way it came out is today, up until today, one of my favorite and one of the best that I have out there. Like, so that's why it's very, very important to work with a sound engineer that has that passion for it.
It's true. And you know what? It is a lot to remember. As you just said, it's so much to remember at that time because you're not just, it's about how you're pronouncing the words. It's about the tone, the volume, you know, whether you're saying it softly, whether you're saying it, you know, depending on what you're reciting. And it comes down to, then you're focusing on everything, that your emotions as well, how it's coming across. And then, you know, when you get feedback like that, you know, sometimes I've been through that stage as well, where I said to the sound engineer, like, okay, cool, I'll do that. And then I've done another take, and it's sounding the same, if not worse. And it's like, what am I doing wrong? Like, you know,
like I said, when you set the studio, it's you in the mic. That's it.
It is.
Whatever you're pushing out there, it's what's reflected on the audio, and that's why it's so hard. But
and I think it's
Carry on.
Yeah, I think it's like from what Abbas said earlier on as well. You know, you have your sound engineer that's working with you, and it's important to make sure that your sound engineer is committed and sincere with what you're doing equally, because it, at the end of the day, you know, if Abbas or you and I or anyone else is making a track, it's not just that reciter's name going on there. At the end of the day, it's everyone else that's involved
Yeah.
with it as well, the mixing, the
Yeah.
mastering, the recorders, and
Yeah.
everything. Is their product going out there as well? So it's very,
Mm.
very important that they share
Yeah.
the same values and the same um, kind of vision that you have as well, because you
Absolutely.
need to be on the
Yeah.
same
No doubt.
page.
No doubt. Yeah, we are touching up to 45 minutes now, which is mad.
That's
So
insane.
I want to, there's a couple of things which you talked about that we need to touch on, because I personally want to know
Yeah.
these things, and I'm sure there's a lot of viewers that are waiting to well, this is something that I've always thought about. Like, I've got I haven't really got a bone to pick, but I want to get into your brain with the whole English to Western transition that you've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, okay, so say now, okay, you've just explained there's been a big wave of what this has gone through in English, and I actually remember that time as well, because even in the Khoja mosques over here,
Mm.
a lot of the stuff was done in Urdu. I mean, there wasn't even a lecture in English at that time, and there was a
Yeah.
big discussion about we need to start bringing English madrasas into the main hall and stuff like that. So when it came to your turn of reciting, what did you take into consideration of what style you were going to go for, and how
So
has that style changed over time?
yeah. So look. The style that I was always going to go for was the Iraqi style.
Yeah.
And that's picking Iraqi. I would say, look, buy some melodies, buy some tunes, putting English to it, and that's how I was doing it for at least 3, 4, 5 years. And then so what happened was there was another world that we didn't know about, that I didn't know about, and that's like rapping, even music, full on music, but in that world, the rapping world, the R&B. I don't know what the terms are, but that kind
Yeah.
of world. But people were who were in that world. They were producing content that is Ahlul Bayt related, but totally in that form. They had no regard for what is halal, haram. They didn't care, right? That's what they were going to do. If you think it's haram, don't listen to it. If you think it's
Yeah.
halal, listen to it. No problem.
Yeah.
So one of those guys who saw some of the work that I was doing in English, he approached me and said, "Look, I think you have a voice that you can." Because there's two things here. My voice box, and this is why I struggled, by the way, when I was recording with him. My voice box grew as a muscle, grew on the maqam, on the tunes, the melodies of the East, the Iraqi world. Yeah. So tell me to do an Urdu style, I'll struggle, because the actual strings in the muscle aren't used to that kind of delivery, right?
Yeah.
So I'm used to give me an Arabic style, I can do that all day. Yeah. But give me an English style, I can't sing. I cannot sing an English song really well, but I can do a Basim tune particularly okay, and I can try to do that. Okay. So what he was asking of me was very big, because I didn't know how to do it, right? And so he's like, "Look, there's a couple of tunes that I'm working on. I think you know just give it a go. Just give it a go. Like, just between us, just let's set up a meeting. We'll sit down, have a chat. I've got a couple of lyrics and tunes. Why don't you give it a go?" I was like, "Well, you know what, fine. There's no harm." So when I listened to it the first time, I'm like, what in the world is this? I'm never going to go into this world, because I just cannot do it. But then I don't know why, like, something just kind of hit me. I was like, the main thing that was behind that is, in terms of the Ahlul Bayt, as I mentioned, at that time, because English was quite important, and universities, there was a lot of APSOCs being involved. So a lot of the talk on social media was, what are the West going to think about these English majaz? That's how the culture developed, right? Because these English programs were out there and everyone's doing English now. But what's the West? How the West going to react to this? So there was a lot of my impetus, my inspiration was to say, okay, let me speak the language of the West. Yeah. And in order to do that, I need to sing like the West. Now, there's a couple of things there's a couple of factors, right? First and foremost, is it halal to even sing similarly to a Western song, right? And then second of all, what kind of instruments are we going to be using? Is it going to be all computerized, or are we actually going to sit there and do it? I had to factor all these things. So when I did ask the scholars, the scholars said, look, like if, again, I don't want to get into a religious or jurisprudential discussion, but if it's going to sound like something that is of ill nature or a corrupt nature, like, I don't know, bars, pubs, clubs, whatever it is, that kind of environment, that kind of vibe, then no, then you can't do it. If it's not, and it's just a song, we can say, about Imam Hussein with instruments that are very, 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 very limited, very, very small, then they see no issues with this. I got some sort of accreditation from certain scholars, and I said, listen, go for it, because they believe that this could be something big. So when I got the green light, I was like, no, I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and give it a go. The first day I went recording, I was like, I can't do this. I'm sorry, I can't carry on. I genuinely cannot carry on. He's like, no, look, stick with it, stick with it, stick with it. So we recorded. Now, the issue here is that people, their ears are not accustomed to different styles, right? Yeah. Only up until now, only today, in this day and age, 2020, is tracks being developed and produced that sound like the West, or sound like songs, like every like, especially in the I'm talking about the Arabic world here. The Arabic world, most of the tracks out there sound like songs, because what they want to do is, they've seen their singing counterparts. Right? They've seen their singing counterparts, what they're doing, how the style and delivery that they have, and like, I want to do this, but keep it within the laws of Islam. All right. So they, for example, replaced a drum with a clap, or they've replaced, I don't know, a violin with a humming, or whatever it is that they. So what I said was like, look, like, when I did develop it and it came out, there was a bit of by the way, I'll be very, very clear. The majority of people, like, this is fine, like, this is great, this is different, whatever. It's only a small minority of people that had.
You're always going to get that.
You're always going to get it. And then at first, see, the irony is, if you would listen to this track now, you'd be like, this is very, very bland. Very bland compared to the stuff that's out there now. That's the irony, right? But at the time, people didn't want change, and it was a massive change. It was something different that they weren't accustomed to, their ears weren't accustomed to, and because of that, it was like, whoa, what's this? But once they get used to, it's like, oh, okay, it's not that bad, yeah. It's not that bad. And so what caused it is as I mentioned, what's important, I'll mention just now. What caused it is, again, I wanted to speak the language of the West. The style that I then adapted to, or adopted, shall we say, the rest of the couple of years after that was, I was infatuated with trying to bring together the West and the East. I'm trying and trying and trying. I don't know if it works, if it does, I don't know. But some of the tracks that I did recently, I'm not sure if you've come across some tracks I've done about Dua Kumail, but brought it to life. So it's called I Turn, and that delivery, the style of delivery, I have actually shown this to colleagues at work. I didn't, a friend of mine did, and they're like, oh, this is great, so this is a song, and it's a song about God. I'm like, yeah, it is, yeah. So job done, as far as I know, because as soon as he saw it, he understood the concept, he understood what's going on. It's a song about your Lord. That's it. That's all I wanted to understand. Yeah. So then I tried. I'm adapting to or changing the style a bit so that I can try and mix East and West. That is in studio productions. In live sessions, no, I'll maintain my normal Iraqi way, English. Now what I've done is, because a lot of people, especially the Iraqis, the Iraqi or the Arab melody is very difficult to put English onto that. And again, the technicalities, that's why I mentioned language. The technicalities of the Arabic language is so vast, so difficult. For you to, the only melody that suits the Arabic language is the Arabic melody. And English suits English. Like, there's no two ways about it. You can't
force English as well.
I mean, to a certain extent, if you can find what we call maqamat, if you can find a range within the delivery, a range within the rhythm that is close to the East, then you can focus on that a bit. Is Abbas with us? Sorry, guys.
Has his connection gone off or something?
Yeah, I think he's paused a bit. Probably his connection.
That's
Probably
fine.
log back
It's
in.
okay.
Yeah.
You can just carry on with your
Yeah.
point.
So if you find a what we call a maqam, so I think what they call it on scales on a piano, for example, the do re mi for I don't know what it is exactly, but essentially the scales on the piano is similar to the maqam in the Arabic world. It's the
Same.
rhythm, the tone that you use, I think it's called.
Yeah.
The maqam.
The
So the
pitch.
tone that the pitch, yeah.
Yeah.
So the pitch or the tone that I use, if there are some Arabic ones that are very similar to the English one, that's the area that I focus on. That area there,
That box.
yeah, I can be able to match the English and the I guess the East and the West together. There is a certain area that you could,
Yeah.
again, but that's where you can use both languages into one. That's what I'm trying to say. But
Yeah,
again,
but
it's
I
quite
think that's
difficult.
where I think that's where, in my eyes, I think that's when I started loving your content the most when it came to that. Because
Yeah.
see, the thing is what happened was, and I'm not saying that it's a problem, because when Nuri came onto the panel, we had discussion
Yeah.
as well, and he said the greatest thing is that no matter what happened in terms of styles evolve, how it's evolved, and whether what we were doing before was wrong or right. It's not right or wrong in this, but it's the fact that we have it present in English today is a big thing, because it wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? So the credit goes out to people like you and other artists like you as well that have done stuff in English to bring it up, because it's I think it's the most important thing as well, being a universal language. But what I wanted to touch upon is you mentioned about like Western notes, stuff like that, and I know that's quite deep. But I want to talk about Higher, because that's my favorite track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's, by the
definitely.
way, throughout this whole session, I was alluding to Higher the whole time. I just didn't mention it. Maybe I should have, but okay.
We've got the same brains. We've got the same brains. Like
Yeah.
for sure. Like the thing isn't it? Yeah, Higher for me was like the balance was perfect.
Yeah.
And that must have taken time. Like I can see that must have taken time, like to get it like that. Using like you said, thinking about the instruments, whether they're halal or haram. I could
There was
see
a
the
lot of
balance
work, man.
there,
There was a lot of work to
but
get that going
it
into.
paid
Yeah.
off. But yeah, tell me about the production a little bit. Like
So that's what I was
know
saying. That so
You see quality.
the story of the guy that came up to me,
yeah,
that was Higher. So he imagine he sat down in front of me in a cafe and he sung Higher for me. Yeah, because by the way, this guy's for me until now, he's a genius when it comes to songs and melodies and singing and even production, right?
wow.
And he sat there singing it to me. I'm like, I cannot connect to this for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I just cannot
yeah,
connect with it. Like it's just not
yeah,
my world. I don't know how to. And I'm like, okay. But then after that, after a couple more discussions, I was like, yeah, okay, let's give it a go. When I did say give it a go, he's like, all right, as long as you give me your commitment, I'm gonna make sure that this is gonna be absolute quality. And that's why I was saying 17 times. I just worked on one verse. I think it was the second verse or the second. Just one of them 17, 18 times. I was
Oh,
repeating the same line.
Did he actually compose the track?
Yeah, he composed the track, the lyrics, the engineering, the post production, the whole thing. Yeah, from a sound perspective. And he this is why I was saying I loved working with him, because he was passionate about it. He wouldn't say, okay, yellow, that's a good take. Let's go to the next one. No. He'd sit there analyzing it, and then he'd wear his hoodie, put his the thing muffs on, right? And I just sit there staring at him. He'd be like just listening to it over and over and over and over again. And then after that, he'd be like, I'm sorry, Ali, we have to do this line again. I'm like, oh God, again. Yeah. And by the way, he used to live in South London, yeah, and I'm in Northwest London. So it took me 45. Yeah, bro, it took me 45 minutes to an hour to get there every other day, to go and record. And this was like a couple of months before Muharram. And then we sit there for like 4 hours, take an hour break because of my voice. And then go at it again. Alhamdulillah, at the time I didn't have any like family commitments and stuff, so I was able to give that time. But now, obviously, in this day and age, it's very difficult because I got family commitment and work and all that stuff, and so it's difficult to find the time and even the resources actually to be able to produce something of that kind of quality again. It's difficult, yeah. But yeah, I mean, look, higher, as I mentioned, when it was released, I think one of the mistakes and the regrets that I had. And if people are listening, they I don't mind. The regrets that I had is that I was so nervous and essentially scared of what people are going to say, because this could literally break me, because when I was listening to it, I'm like, oh my days, if I release this, I don't know how people are going to like, I don't know how people are going to react. So what I did was, it was a majlis during Muharram, the 10 nights of Muharram. It was the night of Qasim alayhi salam, and the whole idea was we were going to I teamed up with the organizers of the majlis, and I said, listen, this is the situation, can we show the video live on a screen? So we showed the video live on the screen. The regret that I had was that I came and explained it. I explained the reasonings why I did it, right? So some people use that against me. Well, because as soon as you start to explain, there's a point of discussion, there's a point of opinion.
Yeah.
So then that's where it stemmed. All the discussions came up because I tried to justify it. When you try to justify it, means you have maybe an inkling of thinking, is this right? Is this wrong? Is this right? But you want 100% sure that this is absolutely correct. I wasn't, like, at the time, like, this is very, very new. And so when I did release it, I tried to justify it. Actually, one or two people got up and left, and they explained to me later. They're like, oh, this is really wrong, and Night of Al-Qasim. But I'll be honest with you, people clapped. that's how good it was.
The thing is, isn't it? If like, you got to understand, if something like clapping was such a problem in communities, right? Clapping.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm trying to say?
That's another whole world, by the way.
That's
exactly. So just imagine. I can just imagine at that time as well. What the response would have been
100%,
by some
man.
people.
Yeah, 100%. And I guess that what he was saying was like, look, I appreciate what you're doing, and I've always respected you as a reciter and stuff like that. But I don't think this is. To be honest, when he did walk out, it was very clear that he walked out. I didn't have any issues because I know it's going to rub people the wrong way. And look, if you think of it differently, that's not a problem. But he did. He explained it to me why and stuff like that. And it was nice of him to explain. But I guess I got a couple of comments and stuff. Yeah, but
what it is? One thing I realized, in it, and there's some comments that are like they're constructive, right? So that I'm all down for. But for sure, guys, I know that everyone gets comments that just point that negative.
Yeah, we've had the fair share of, this is haram, you're going to hell, and stuff like that. No, cheers, man. Thank you very much. I'll see you there, inshallah. Yeah.
That's true. To be honest, guys, if you're watching this video and you've done one of those comments, we don't care. We literally don't care.
Yeah, it's not as harsh as it sounds. It's true, and it's something. Oh God, it's something that me and Abba speak. I'll be honest with you. What a lot of the audience doesn't know is me and Abbas have these kind of discussions where we have topics, even compositions and types of poetry, where we deep down know that it's not haram. It's not leading anyone to the wrong kind of purpose. The poetry itself is still uplifting. It's still positive. It's still indirectly not mentioning Allah or the Ahlul Bayt, but still just some kind of way leaning towards them, but as a wider message. But at the end of the day, we've planned everything out. We might have even started on it, or we might have even completed it, and then we think, shall we do it?
Guys, there was one thing.
It's so scary.
Yeah, there was one thing that really, really hit home after I released it. One of my friends, who's also kind of like a musician and stuff, there's a website where you put songs up, and then you get the feedback from other musicians and songers and songwriters.
Yes.
And I didn't know, but he put it up there. No name, no context. No, this is Imam Hussein and Karbala. Look, this is a song from one of our guys. What do you guys think? There's loads of comments, right? Some of them are like, this sounds like a love song. No, love song. Sorry, this sounds like the person who's singing has lost a loved one, and it's really deep. And it's some of the people, like, the sound engineering or the percussion was rubbish. But other people like, what, the intro was great. So when I got that, it hit home. It's like, okay, so this piece of work, if you give this to a non-Muslim, it makes sense. It makes sense to them. That's the reason why I did it, because it makes sense to them. When they listen to it, there is a word like Karbala in there. There is a word like Hussein, but it's not like Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam was killed. Of course, we have to mention that within our own circles, no doubt. But if we're trying to give a message to a non-believer, he may not understand what alayhi salam. You want to try and explain that? Be my guest. But I want to try and get to the message quickly, otherwise he'll lose interest.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, before we did the podcast, I did a bit of catch up on your like content and stuff like that.
Mm.
And I was it's been I've like you did I think it was I don't know, I can't remember what the track was called, but it was along the like you could see they evolve like the way it's evolved since higher and where it's gone to now. And I was all for it. I can't remember what the track was called. You know what? I'm gonna get it up here, yeah, because I want you to know exactly what I'm talking about.
Was there a video with it?
No.
Oh,
I don't think there was. Actually.
Was it like a video production?
Beautiful Embrace.
Oh, Beautiful Embrace. Okay, right. So this is another thing, yeah. So Beautiful Embrace was like higher version 2. But but what happened here was that I wanted to, because after higher, I released something else. I don't know if you can see it. I released something else called Love Again. Yeah, made by the same guys. Maybe
it was that one. Let me just double check.
It was about the Prophet. I think it was a video production. There was actual me video.
It
was a video production. Love Again. Yeah, that was about the Prophet, and it was released a couple of months straight after higher. And then when people saw higher, like, okay, the next video that comes out is going to be quite similar. So there was a lot of interest for the second one as well. And so I released it, and then people were like, oh yeah, great, keep going with this kind of stuff. But then I think funding was a bit of an issue, time was a bit of an issue, traveling as well. So what happened then was the guy came back again, the sound engineer for hire. He's like, let's do another album, but let's just go really like far right, even in terms of how to sing it and stuff like that. Maybe not so much on the musical side, but in terms of singing. And Beautiful Embrace, unfortunately for me, it didn't really resonate because maybe the marketing wasn't great, but also there wasn't no formal video for it. I think there wasn't a formal video for it.
Yeah. No, but I think the actual fact myself, though, I thought it was amazing, and like for me, I understand exactly why. Like I said, it's that thin line again here and there, but I understand exactly what the thing is for me. When someone's doing stuff to touch people's hearts outside of our own communities, that's the most important thing, because then you actually, that's your maqsad, which is your intentions, what your destination, or where you're trying to reach is what you're actually going for it, rather than, like I said, doing stuff that's already being done and that's being dried out. Essentially.
You're right, bro. I was trying to go for it. I was trying to put something out there that wasn't there before. Some people liked it, some people didn't. It's not not every single track you're going to do is going to be 100%, right? Exactly. Some of them are going to be successful, some of them are not. So it's just a learning curve, really.
I loved it. I was actually praising it when I mentioned that. I loved it. But we've got some comments anyway. So guys, by the way, now we are going to go into, because we've come to an hour and 10, I want to round it up very, very soon. So if there are any questions, just start putting them up now. We've already got some questions already. So Ali, these questions are going straight to you because you're the guest. Basically. But as the conversation goes on, because I do want to talk about Nouri as well very quickly. But let's answer this question. Okay, Brother Imtiaz Lada, thank you for commenting. This is the first question I've got on the show. Thank you for commenting. And the question is, a lot of people who are accustomed to reciting in a certain language, for example, Urdu, for a long time, struggle to then recite in a different language. There comes an issue with pronunciation and accents. And the next part, is there a way to overcome this, particularly with regards to English? It can be daunting for those who are not used to it. Yeah,
you're going to have to go to the experts for this, because only the experts will be able to really delve into what your throat or your voice box is accustomed to. And then what they'll do is, for example, they'll say, sing this tone. You may not be able to, but then he'll know how far away you are. And then be able to direct.
They're pitch perfect, right? They're pitch perfect.
Exactly. So he'll know exactly where you are, and then direct you to that specific pitch.
Okay, is this something you've gone into, Ali?
No, is it something no, unfortunately, no. Yeah. I'd love to one day, but no.
Okay. All right. Okay. So there you go. Expert. There are like vocal coaches out there that are expert for this. This is their life. Literally, they're on YouTube as well. There's so many guys. If you want to learn about singing and stuff like that, YouTube's got everything now. You can learn anything. Mason, do you read the next question? I'll put it up for you.
Why not?
I think it's from Brother Ali. Brother Ali, thank you for commenting. His question is.
So his question is.
Yeah, there you go.
So where does the future of your reciting lie, in your opinion? Will it evolve further?
I think.
Or
Oh right.
yeah, oh yeah. Or there's
Or
another part of it
I
saying,
could
or
ask.
could I could ask, how will it evolve further?
But when you say when we say evolve, the common theme has never changed since day one of recitations, and that's when it comes to the matam side of things. That, for example, I'll use the example of Basim Karbala'i. The common denominator between every technological advancement is the latam
Mm,
has stayed the same.
yeah,
The tunes have changed a bit, but the actual physical latom, the
Yeah,
matter,
yeah,
has stayed the same, and
yeah,
that's what's pinning them down. Otherwise, if they move away from the latom, then they go into different areas that
yeah,
they probably shouldn't be
yeah.
going into, for example. But what's pinning them down is the latom, because they have to stick to that rhythm, the ch
The
3
foundation. Yeah,
2 4 ch 3 2 4. So anything
yeah,
that
yeah,
anything that they think of in terms of tunes has to fit that style, right? So the future, again, it all depends on the cultures. Arabic, for example, I can see the future um, going towards more TV, not TV, but like because Basim has dabbled with it, and this is like an emerging trend with this. What he's done is in an animation that he did. One of them was about Imam Hussein, the other one was about Mehdi. Now, Imam al Mehdi one is a story.
yeah.
It's a storyline. Um, I would need I just to let you guys know, I've got another couple of minutes, yeah, because
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So
yeah.
it's a
No,
story. It's a storyline. Yeah, there's a story that happens. Basically, that he's in a camp, and there's some kids. And one of them is like his kids and friends and family, and so they're all in a campsite. And some of the kids ask, why do you put your hand on your head? And so the response from Basim is actually in song format. Yeah, it's as in he recites it. So then it goes back onto dialogue and then song and then dialogue and then song and then so in a way, there's two things. There is the live majalis that's going to stay the same for me. I don't think that will change ever. Maybe if you can implement things that make it interesting for people, a screen behind you, smoke,
yeah,
automated latom sounds that are played in the background, and maybe that kind of stuff to enhance the viewer, to enhance the viewer and how they're looking at this. But that's always going to stay the same. The thing that might change is the studio work and the animation work
yeah,
and the production work, that kind of stuff. That could change towards more animations, could change more towards movies, even small episodes that has recitations in them. I dabbled with this a bit in Australia a couple of years ago, where I chose 4 songs as a scenario of a script. So those 4 songs, I gave a story, and then for example, the story of was a guy who his mum told him, go ziyara, go ziyara, go ziyara. He didn't really want to go ziyara. His mum passed away. One of her final things that she says is, you need to go visit Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So as a in her honor, he went to Karbala.
mm,
That the journey to Karbala, there's a song, okay,
yeah,
and I sung that song. So I did the story, and then he arrived. When he arrived, what happened? He didn't know where he
yeah.
was and stuff like that. And then he saw the shrine for the first time. That's a song for 2-3 minutes. So it's
Yeah,
like that. It's like a 20-minute thing. I
yeah,
don't know. Maybe that could be a world, but
yeah,
as I said, the common denominator behind all this is for the Iraqi world, latom, even for Urdu and different
yeah,
cultures, latom
yeah,
is going to stay latom. That's
yeah,
not going to change, I don't
yeah.
think.
You know what? I think you've nailed it. I think, like you said, it comes down to live and studio, which is two different things. Like the stuff that we do live has to stay the same, and the stuff that we do in studio, the stuff that we have to do in studio has to stay the same too. But yeah,
Mm.
guys, look, I know, brother, we've taken a lot of Ali's
Sorry, man.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would love
and
to
I know there's a
carry
lot of
on.
things we couldn't cover, but we
Yeah.
really appreciate. I know with your busy schedule right now, we really appreciate you coming on.
No
I'd
problem.
like to, me and Nisam, thank you both. Like, we really appreciate you coming on.
Let's do it
Definitely,
again. Let's do it again sometimes. There's more. There's
We'll do
more.
definitely.
it definitely in the future. We'll
Yeah,
definitely
yeah,
need to
yeah.
do it again.
100%.
Guys, if you enjoyed the podcast, please like, share, and definitely subscribe. In the next couple of weeks, we've got another special guest coming on. I won't name right now, but you guys will find out very soon. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. Brother Ali, thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys in the next one.
Inshallah.
Assalamu.
Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum.